This is a don't read this part on air Dave department. And you know that I don't take instructions well.
Yeah, I can always cut this out if I need to.
Okay. Hello, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing this with me. Can't wait for the Spawn 10 script Kickstarter, and I will gladly help to promote it. Here's my mailing address Dave Sim asked for, and it's Sterling's mailing address. And I will be in touch with you, Sterling. Our Kickstarters are in flux right now. We're not even talking Kickstarter because it's April, and I have sworn my most solemn oath that we will not talk about Kickstarter scheduling until the May Please Hold for Dave Sim. And I am sticking to that. And it's now my sunset prayer time coming up. So I will run along for that, and then we'll pick up where we left off.
Okay.
Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello again, Dave.
Hello again, Matt. Okay. Picking up, you've written here, and in the quote, I'm sure those words are English, I don't know what they mean, unquote, department. Hey, Matt, was reading about Image Comics will be using the soon-to-launch app Sweet Shop to sell DRM-free digital copies of their books. What does DRM stand for?
Digital Rights Media.
Okay.
It's the thing that they back at the early days of the internet when they were putting media on the internet. They'd put a DRM into it, which would keep you from copying it or sharing it or anything. You know, basically it was a digital copyright protection type deal, and DRM free developed because, like, you know, the big companies would put it on, and it's like, well, we're not going to buy it. You know, we're not going to give you money for a physical purchase of a digital item if we can't transfer it to a different device.
Right. I think I followed that.
I may have gotten that completely wrong. They'll tell me in the comments.
Looks like a possible replacement for Comixology, RIP. So Comixology's gone the way of all flesh.
Well, the next question kind of gets to that.
Okay. Given that Diamond is undergoing Chapter 11, and obviously we've got new information on that Diamond has been purchased by, what's the author's name?
Alliance?
Alliance, right. Alliance Entertainment, which is a gaming company?
I believe so, yes.
Right. All right. Well, we're definitely in the dark here, but still shuffling around and trying to feel our way. And Dave tends to want to sell the still in-print phone books through them. How viable would it be to also sell Cerebus digital issues through Sweet Shop when it launches later this year? Thanks for all you do, Nick. And Matt says,
I will pass this on to the Cerebus tech team, which I did, and Sean Robinson replied that they're good people. Living the Line is signing with them for your information. It's Living the Line's first digital platform.
It's what?
Living the Line's first digital platform where they're going to distribute their books digitally is going to be through Sweet Shop. They're signing an agreement with them if they haven't already.
Okay. And still in the same department, Hello, Dave. Hoping you're in good health and good spirits. Yeah, I'm. As long as I'm writing and drawing Strange Death of Alex Raymond and the Ninja High School Cerebus crossover, I'm as happy as I've ever got.
Let me interrupt,
I don't know.
let me interrupt quick. Strange Death of Alex Raymond, the last I heard you were finished page 650?
Yes.
Okay, so we're up to 650, or did you get 651 done?
No, 651 I'm starting on tomorrow.
Okay, so for everyone at home, if you donate to the Strange Death of Alex Raymond GoFundMe, logo on the screen or the video, Dave's up to page 650, and I think we unlocked page, I want to say 110 of the mock-ups?
Yes. I think it's the actual page number is in the 300s, 350, somewhere around there. So I'm about 300 pages ahead.
Yeah, because 205 was the last published page in the Living the Line version of the book. So add 109 to that, which is where the GoFundMe is at, would be 314. I can do math.
Don't hold us to these numbers. We're not math wizards, but our hearts are in the right places. I don't know if this has been asked before, but is there any reason that the fine products of Aardvark Vanaheim aren't on digital platforms such as Amazon's Kindle/Comixology platform and Kobo? I use both terms because Amazon seems to have depreciated the Comixology brand in favor of the Kindle branding. It goes on to say, from my perspective, there's pros and cons for doing this. As Diamond sinks into the sunset, and again, that's not a foregone conclusion. We don't know what happens next with, I'm calling it Alliance Diamond, because I don't know if Alliance Diamond is going to be different from Diamond Diamond. And if it is going to be different, how different is it going to be and in what ways? The ability for AV to penetrate the direct market is going to be reduced. Yeah, that's arguable, but we're not really penetrating the direct market. We have sort of like our niche, Cerebus in Hell with a question mark. Don't really know what Alliance's attitude is going to be towards the Cerebus trade paperbacks and the Swords of Cerebus in Hell with a question mark trade paperbacks. And that's, well, I'll get to that momentarily. While I'm sure that you're looking into ways of getting phone books into comic stores, it's obviously going to be harder than it was. The digital platforms have millions of customers, and Amazon's new Kindle ColorSoft is actively being marketed to comic book readers. They use images from Marvel comic books, such as Ms. Marvel, in their promotion material. If we were talking about this a decade ago, there would be some resistance from the comic book store owner community, but they've now lived with the effects of digital comic platforms for a long time. Also, unlike previous efforts to reprint Cerebus for current markets, this effort could stay within Aardvark Vanaheim. You wouldn't have to work with a third party, such as IDW or Fantagraphics. That means you'd keep full control of what's presented, and you'd be the sole recipient of digital revenues. In addition, by creating a digital market on Kindle Kobo, you'd be able to sell books you haven't been able to sell digitally, such as glamourpuss, Judenhass, and he adds, which I believe is a must-read book for anyone looking to understand the roots of anti-Semitism. And the text pieces you've been adding adding some to the Kickstarters. You could, where are we here? You could also get Cerebus in Hell with a question mark and the related works online, and possibly get some of the current forms of The Strange Death of Alex Raymond up there, which might give you an extra revenue stream for that work. I would focus in on the word might there. The biggest challenges I can see are, one, creating the ebooks for Amazon and Kobo using their proprietary format. This is a time sink activity. However, I'd be happy to investigate the work needed and take a shot at converting one or two of the existing phone books into Amazon's format to get a sense of how much work would be involved. Two, determining a pricing strategy. Three, shrinking the file sizes of the phone books or divvying them up to reduce delivery costs. For comments, I can get deeper into this in a further email, but as I looked into Amazon's royalty setup, found here at, and there's the code that would link you to it, Amazon has two royalty rates, 35% flat or 70% in first world territories, times a multiplier adjusting for list price and delivery costs. Delivery costs are calculated by file size, 15 cents per megabyte. If you use the existing books as formatted for Humble Bundle, you pay so much in delivery costs that the books would default to 35% flat anyway. And then there's a chart of the size in megabytes and the resulting delivery cost. And yeah, that's starting to look like the post office to me. It's in terms of the big plus with digital was supposed to be there are no delivery costs. So I'm not sure that that shouldn't be delivery quote cost unquote. That it's just here's where we're figuring out to make money by charging for something that we really have no right to be charging. The interlude book estimates are from my personal collection. I have the complete run of Cerebus digitally, and in fact provided the files to you a few years back for Cerebus downloads. The other file size issue is Amazon has a published maximum file size of 650 megabytes. And in practice, it may be smaller than that. One option would be to create smaller digital trays, say 10 to 12 issues, making sure that we don't start one book in one major story and finishing in another, aka starting near the end of Melman and finishing in Flight. Smaller books might give you the ability to have lower prices, which might make Cerebus more attractive for new readers. Again, I'm going to focus on that word might, particularly when it's all these unproven things. I'm devoting my time to writing and drawing Strange Death of Alex Raymond, and at the moment, Ninja High School Cerebus crossover. And that's not might. I put in that time, and I try and produce a page of each in a given week. And that means Ninja High School Cerebus crossover could be done in another year. But in terms of what we're talking about here, might is, monkeys might fly out of my butt, but that's a very unlikely might, and I don't know how much more likely this might is. The other issue is comments. Obviously, some of these books are going to get negative comments, especially reads for the void light comment. But you've been dealing with that for 30 years now, so that's not new. Anyway, sorry if I'm overwriting this question. I'm finishing my master's degree in business administration next month at the Warrington School of Business at the University of Florida. So this is how my head works. I realize this probably wouldn't result in a massive new revenue stream for you, but perhaps it would help. Obviously, you're the expert on this. Congratulations on getting that close to your master's degree there, Ray. Very, very admirable candidate class of 2025. My cardinal rule has been pretty much all the way along that if something's going to work, it's going to work a lot better if somebody comes to me. If there's something set up somewhere else where there's this general, hey, if you want us to handle your work, contact us at this email address. And that always seems to me like the television commercial, who wants gum? I do. It's like, this is Cerebus. This is, 6,000 page graphic novel. If you are not just a parasite looking to feed off of indie comics and indie comics creators, then I think you're probably going to be a little more selective in terms of saying, okay, who are we going to approach on this, and what are we going to pitch them on? Which, in Aardvark Anaheim's case, has been, in the last number of years, Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle came to me and said, here's the deal, here's what we do, and here's why we do it, and here's our sweet spot. And we think Aardvark Anaheim falls in that sweet spot. Are you interested in doing a deal? And it's there were a number of stumbling blocks. There was the charities that they were donating to were deal breakers for me. But then they were accommodating on that and said, no, we'll be happy to change the charities to food banks and overall feed the poor charity thrust. And consequently, we reached a deal, and it's looking as if we can do the same deal with Humble Bundle this year. I did talk to Dallas and say, okay, you were asking about Cerebus in Hell with a question mark last time. If you're still willing to talk about it, then we can do the legwork on our side and say, okay, this is whatever revenues we would get from you for Cerebus in Hell with a question mark. These are the percentages that each of the creators on Cerebus in Hell with a question mark would get paid, whatever amount comes in from Humble Bundle. And he did specify, okay, there would have to be a 1 year gap, which is coming up in June from the last time that we did Cerebus, but we would offer this time Cerebus and Cerebus in Hell with a question mark. And so that's all right. This is an outfit that came to me, and having had a successful dealing with them, okay, let's try this again, but let's try it in a different way. All of these things that you're talking about here are, this outfit is being set up to do this. Do you want to go to them? And it's like, no, I really don't. Because, Cerebus was handled by Comixology until Comixology got taken over by Amazon. And now, like you say, it's, I think we can look at what's gone on and it's Amazon bought Comixology in order to eliminate a competitor, and now they're eliminating Comixology and saying, okay, everything's Kindle. So if you want to be on Kindle, you come to us, and here, we'll plug you into our system. Sounds to me like we'll throw you on the pile with all these other losers. Which is why, like I say, good rule of thumb, if somebody comes to me and says, yeah, we definitely want to have Cerebus as part of our operation, then it's like, okay, well, you came to me. Theoretically, let's say, one of the new distribution companies aspiring to be the new Diamond Comics says, we want to carry the first Cerebus trade paperback. Then it would be a matter of, well, okay, if we can come to terms, I would be happy to print a print run of the first Cerebus volume, and put the name of your distribution company on it, saying this Cerebus trade paperback volume 1 is distributed by fill in the blank name. If Alliance Entertainment, Alliance Diamond comes to me and says, yeah, we're prepared to talk about the Cerebus trade paperback, and happen to do it at the same time, then it would potentially be, well, okay, now you just have to buy half the number of copies that you would have had to buy before, and half of the copies will have Alliance Diamond on them, and half of the copies will have this other outfit's name on them, and you order a 2-year supply, or what you think is a 2-year supply or a 3-year supply of the Cerebus trade paperback, and I'll tell you how many of those need to get printed in order to get the cover price down to whatever we can get it down to, like $40 US, $50 US. We're never going to see a $25 Cerebus trade paperback again. But those are all hypothetical. Right now, the only thing on the table is Humble Bundle is up for repeating what we did last year, but this year with Cerebus in Hell with a question mark grafted onto it. So that's something that I'm looking at. Are there places that I want to go to and, with hat in hand and say, can you please help me sell Cerebus digital copies? I don't do that. It's there's no percentage in going to somebody in the same way that I wouldn't go to a Hollywood studio and go, "Are you interested in doing a Cerebus film?" It's like they're probably not, and the fact that I'm coming to them means, yeah, we're just going to throw you on the pile with all these other losers. I hope that's not offensive to everyone's sensibilities, but that's the way that I'm looking at it.
I sent Ray's message to the Cerebus Tech team, and Sean responded again saying, "By the way, I think Ray Cornwall is a really smart dude, very insightful comments in a wide range of places. But frankly, Amazon's platform terms are exploitive of the creator, and this is a tremendous amount of upfront work for someone to get the guided panel view stuff to work. That stuff would be done by Sweet Shop gratis. Just a thought." And then Eddie responded going, "Haven't gone through it all yet, but Amazon sucks. We had stuff up there. We had stuff up there, and the dividends were like barely a few dollars, if that. Like Sean says, the cost of reformatting them for them is not worth the returns." So the Cerebus Tech team is, Sweet Shop is a maybe, and Amazon and Jeff Bezos, fool us once. Shame on us, fool us twice. I don't see going to Kindle as being something that the tech team is going to be rah, let's do this. Yes, we'll get it'll get in front of 8 billion sets of eyeballs, but we're going to make $12.
Right. And, that's true of anything having to do with the internet. Yes, you've got potentially 12 billion sets of eyeballs, but you've probably only got 40 or 50 sets of eyeballs when it comes down to practical purposes. All of these things are, if somebody wants to come to Dave Sim and pitch him on Cerebus, whatever, obviously we're pretty open to that kind of thing. But in terms of why doesn't Dave Sim go over to this outfit? Because that just doesn't work. It's, we're working on our own models of what works in terms of this brings in the most money and is best suited to the core Cerebus backer audience of 120 people. If I'm going to expend time figuring out what's going to work, what's going to be best for Cerebus as an intellectual property, I'm always focused on the Cerebus completed. If it works for Margaret Liss, then it works for Cerebus as far as Dave Sim is concerned. If it works for Jeff Bezos, no, it's that. I understand that model, and I understand the appeal of that model, but that's very short term. And trying to keep anybody but the dedicated Cerebus fans happy, as far as I'm concerned, is cutting off my nose to spite my face.
Well, and the other thought I had would be, it would be great to do, Cerebus on Kindle or whatever, but it would be even better if you could get the guys at Studio Comics and the Great North distribution thing that they're setting up of, okay, instead of it being just Aardvark Vanheim's product, what if it was all these guys, all the guys that Great North's going to be distributing, we'll do a digital bundle, but it's everybody thing. I mean, everybody gets a smaller slice of the pie, but more, somebody's buying it for you ends up getting somebody else's stuff, which would be a great idea, but it's a great idea, but that sounds like more work than any of us want to do.
Right. For a very, very limited return, which is always what you have to be watching, is everybody advances their own interests as we're here to work for you. And, we're excited to work with Dave Sim, legend in the comic book field, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, not really. You're just, feathering your own nest with as many people as you possibly can. It's the situation with Alliance buying out Diamond has definitely changed my short-term planning, which was, okay, I'm just waiting for April 1st, and if Diamond's closing its doors, which is what we were all hearing, this is, the next step in the process. Then, as soon as I hear, okay, Diamond's closed its doors, then I don't have to be concerned about the fact that I have an agreement with Diamond that I can't offer anybody a better deal than I'm offering Diamond. So I wasn't talking to Alfonso about the Great North Creators indie catalog extensively, because it's like, well, if I'm not in that agreement situation with Diamond after April 1st, then there's a bunch of different other things that I can say, okay, we could try this, we could try this, we could try that. And it's still possible to try different things, but the fact that Diamond still exists closes off a lot of options there. I'm trying to say, okay, I want to come up with something to do with Alfonso and with Studio Comics Press and with Great Northern Creators Indie Catalog that'll work for Cerebus and work for others. That what we want to do is set up something where if your book is selling and it does turn into a kind of going concern, the best way to find that out is to have like a core group of 10 stores that are being serviced regularly. And I'm willing to do what I can do to help with that. But that's got a lot of limitations with the Diamond situation. I mean, as I was explaining the whole thing to Rolly today, because he didn't know that Alliance had bought Diamond. Right now, we've got almost nothing but questions and no answers. And now we just have to wait until some of the questions get answered and see what the answers are before we see, okay, what can happen next. And conservative estimate, I would say that's probably the rest of this year before we even start getting answers to, okay, how does this work? Nerudibus, it was solicited through Diamond, and it's like I wasn't going to withdraw the solicitation because Diamond was still functional, had still paid us. They were all paid up on all their accounts. So, no, I'm not going to cut Diamond off because everybody's saying Diamond is dead online. People say a lot of stuff online, but I do have to see Nerudibus go through the process of, okay, the solicitation is in there. Now we have to find out how many copies Diamond is going to order. Then we have to find out who can print those, Studio Comics Press or Marquee, more financially sensibly for Aardvark Anaheim. How those books are shipped now that the Diamond Plattsburgh warehouse doesn't exist. Nerudibus has to be all the way through that process, and then the check come in from Alliance Diamond paying for those books. And when does that check come in? And once that's deposited, then it's, okay, this is now viable. Let's try another comic book with Alliance Diamond. And if it's not viable, it's no. I was living off the exchange rate between Aardvark Anaheim was living off the exchange rate between the American and U.S. And Canadian dollar, and now I can't even do that. We haven't put a comic book through Diamond since last January, so I have no idea what has changed or what is changing or what it's changing into. But it's the proof is in the pudding. We have to go through the process and say, okay, here's the situation. We can work with Alliance Diamond, or we just go, no. To whatever extent I had confidence in Steve Jeffy's Diamond Comic Distributors, I just don't have that confidence in Alliance Diamond. Do I hear from Alliance Diamond, and what do I hear from them? Would be a big question mark. And so at the moment, it's we're able to just hang fire. I think one of the things was God went, okay, this is going to get pretty confusing for you, Dave. So we're going to give you a serious heads up, and because of circumstances beyond our control, we published virtually nothing in 2024 between February and practically December. And I got a phone call from the accountants when they had year end and they had all of the bookkeeping and they were doing the bookkeeping, and they actually phoned and said, your revenues are down by 10%, but your expenses are down by 50%. Does that make sense? And it's like, no, I didn't have it expressed that way, but yes, that does make sense in terms of one of the best things that Aardvark Vanaheim can do to be a profitable company is stop publishing stuff. Because it's just so damned expensive and the profit margin is so small. So it's like, that might be the direction that we're going in, and it's just God saying, this isn't a one-off circumstance. The less you publish in a year, the more you will have a decline in your revenues, but the decline will be maybe 1/5 of the decline that you're going to have in your expenses. That's just the way the comic book field is structured now, because everything is so damned expensive. Shipping is expensive. Printing is expensive. Everything is expensive.